town in Kentucky. I went to school in Indiana, a little engineering school where I almost got kicked out 3 times, but I ended up now, I'm going back this year to get an honorary PhD and giving the commencement address. So that shows you never know. You never know how it's on. Professor and Dean. And then for 45 years, I did 3 things. One, I traveled all about the world speaking and teaching. So I've been to 102 countries on American Airlines alone. I have over 11 million frequent flyer miles, and I have the highest level card on Emirates airline as well. So I'm a frequent flyer. Then I like speaking and teaching. Then what I'm most famous for is I coach executives. So I'm in the coaching and CEO Ford and Pfizer and Glaxo and the World Bank and Mayo Clinic and all kinds of famous people. And I've worked with ministers in Saudi Arabia, leaders in the UAE. And so, I love speaking. I love coaching because that's coaching is where I learn everything. My newest project is I'm working on MarshallBot. So right now,
the AI,
my own video bot, yes. And I'm going to start. Right now, it's a text, TEXT, text bot. So, you can ask it questions and it gives you answers. And about half the time, its answers are better than mine, as judged by me. So, it's very good. But after that, into the audio bot and then ultimately the video bot. So in the future, you won't know if it's me or my friend MarshallBot talking. Coaching, also by accident, I worked with a guy who was the CEO of a big company. He said, I had this kid working for me, young, smart, dedicated, hardworking, genius, stubborn, arrogant, know-it-all jerk. He said, he would be worth a fortune to me if I could change that guy's behavior. So I heard fortune. I said, I like fortunes. Maybe I can help him. So maybe, and then I came up with an idea. I said, I will work with him for 1 year. If he gets better, pay me. If he does not get better, all free. What did he say? Sold. There was nothing called coaching. There was no field of executive coaching. I just made it up.
Let's go to the new book, Fear and Life.
Fear and Life.
Yeah, you emphasize the importance of living fulfilling life without regrets.
Yes.
So what steps can people take to earn their way to fulfilling life and how they can find their track and stay on it?
Okay, first, in my book, I talk about what do you need to have a great life? Well, first, you need to be healthy. So you need to take care of your health. If you're not healthy, it's very hard. Second, you need to have good relationships with people you love, but the book is not about that. And then third, you need to have at least a middle class or lower middle class income. Beyond that, money does not make much difference in your life. People think it does, but all research on this shows not much. After in the United States, like, I don't know, $75,000 a year, that's it. After that, there's no relationship between money and happiness. What they do is they believe that they're overly focused on achievement sometimes at the expense of 2 things. They forget why they're achieving these things. And number two, they don't enjoy the process of life. So most people that I work with, their problem is not achievement. They're already incredible achievers. Their problem is they're addicted to achievement. So what I teach people is, look, never place your value as a human being based on results. Let me repeat that. Never place your value as a human being based upon results. Here's why. Advice. Wait. Final advice in 2 minutes. Ready? Here's the best advice for everyone. Breathe. Imagine you're 95 years old and you're just getting ready to die. Right before you take the last breath, you're given a beautiful gift. The ability to go back in time and talk to the person who's listening to me right now. Help that person be a better leader and have a better life. What advice would that old person have for you? Think about that. Now, whatever you're thinking now, do that. In terms of performance appraisal, that's the only one that matters. The old person says you did the right thing, you did. The old person says you made a mistake, you did. You don't have to impress anybody else. Some friends of mine interviewed old folks who are dying, got to ask this question. What advice would you have? 3 things. Number 1, be happy now. Not next week, not next month. Be happy now. Don't get lost in I'll be happy when. When is that old guy waiting to die? Enjoy life now. Number 2, friends and family. Don't get so busy climbing that ladder that you forget the people who love you. When you're 95 years old, you look around your deathbed, none of your coworkers are waving goodbye. Those people in love you are the ones that care. And finally, if you have a dream, go for it. Because you don't go for it when you're 30, you probably won't when you're 80. And business advice isn't much sooner. Number one, life is short. Have fun. Number two, do whatever you can do to help people. Lean yourself people has nothing to do with money or status or getting ahead. The 95-year-old you'll be proud because you did. Disappointed if you don't. And finally, go for it. Do what you think is may not win, at least you tried. Old people, we don't regret the risk we take and fail. We regret the risk we failed to take. And finally, thank you for asking me to work with you. My mission is real simple, just to help people have just a little better life. So I hope somebody listening to our little thing today, maybe they have just a little better life based on what we said. If that happens, very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Daniel Tokat, Monday Talks. Again, every Monday, a new episode, amazing guest, great minds, great stories. And this time I have a special guest, very nice gift and surprise for you guys. Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, how are you?
Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being my guest today. And I know the time difference is right. Wow. What's the time back now?
I did not hear you.
The time at your end. How
at my end? 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow. 9 a.m. It's 6 p.m. here in Dubai.
I've been to Dubai many times. I had a home in Dubai for a year.
Yeah, I've heard in the Burj Khalifa, right?
Burj Khalifa, right. Fun place to live.
I was talking to a friend of yours, Dr. Corey, the other day. He was my guest, and we were talking about you.
Yeah.
And that's when I came that I should talk to this guy. Anyway, amazing. Dr. Marshall, whenever I can talk about you the whole session and never end. Like, it's like a lot of achievement there, a lot of books to talk about. Number one of leadership thinking, number one execution code, number one in YT best-selling author. So many things today with like 51 books. The best way to introduce you is like give you the mic, and in short, like, how do you define Dr. Marshall? How do you introduce yourself?
My mission in life is just to help people have a little better life now that I've grown old. So pretty
life is good.
Life is good. Just help people have a little better life. That's just fine.
Beautiful. But a little more about you as a person.
Well, what happened, I'll tell you my story. I was brought up in a small town in Kentucky. I went to school in Indiana, a little engineering school where I almost got kicked out 3 times, but I ended up now going back this year to get an honorary PhD and giving the commencement address. So that shows you never know. You never know how it's going to
I was going to say, like, personal journey from wherever you were and wherever you were planning to until you reached this point.
Very much small town, low income environment. We did not have indoor plumbing the first 4 years I was in school. We had what was called an outhouse. So I was brought up in a very, very downscale environment. And then I got an engineering degree. Then I got an MBA at Indiana University and a PhD at UCLA. I was a college professor and dean. And then for 45 years, I did 3 things. One, I traveled all about the world speaking and teaching. So I've been to 102 countries on American Airlines alone. I have over 11 million frequent flyer miles, and I have the highest level card on Emirates airline as well. So I'm a frequent flyer. Then I like speaking and teaching. Then one I'm most famous for is I coach executives. So I'm in the coaching and CEO of Ford and Pfizer and Glaxo and the World Bank and Mayo Clinic and all kinds of famous people. And I've worked with ministers in Saudi Arabia, leaders in the UAE. And so, I love speaking. I love coaching because that's coaching is where I learn everything. Although
this is all you have.
I learn more than I teach. And then I write books and articles. As you mentioned, I've written 51 books. I've done 7 bestsellers, 4 New York Times bestsellers, and I've done 45 books purchased only by my mother, my father, and my relatives. So I've done a lot of books. Most of them nobody bought, but 3 million people bought something. So that was good. So then anything else about me, I have been married 48 years. My wife's a psychologist. We live in Nashville, Tennessee now. My daughter's a professor here, and I got a couple of grandkids. My son's in Austin. And I have neighbors that have famous neighbors. One of my neighbors is in a singing group called the Rascal Flats. One of my neighbors is Keith Urban. He's a famous country star. His wife is more famous than him. His wife is Nicole Kidman. She's my neighbor. And another one of my neighbors is Taylor Swift. So I've got a lot of
nice neighbor.
Singing people in the neighborhood, right?
Okay.
As a hobby, I adopt people. I have this program called 100 Coaches. So what happened is I went to this program called Design the Life You Love, and one said, who are your heroes? Well, they're nice people, good teachers. She said, you should be like them. So I made a little video and put on LinkedIn. Something in, maybe 100 people would apply, and I'll adopt 15. Turned out 18,000 people applied to be adopted.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I've adopted 400 people. So the program is called 100 Coaches. It's very nice. It's a nice program. And we give everything away, and all the only expectation is that you try to help others.
See, it's like never ends. So story cannot be compacted in this very short interview.
Yeah. My newest project is I'm working on MarshallBot. So right now,
the AI, right?
My own video bot, yes, and I'm going to start. Right now, it's a text, TXT, text bot. So, you can ask it questions and it gives you answers. And about half the time, its answers are better than mine, as judged by me. So, it's very good. But after that, into the audio bot and then ultimately the video bot. So in the future, you won't know if it's me or my friend MarshallBot talking.
Oh, boy. So it's like a library of all what you said, all what you wrote.
Oh, yeah.
In AI format. So you will be alive forever.
Give it all away for free.
Wow. That's something. Oh, my God. It's like I can do a Zoom call with you in like 100 years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
MarshallBot. With MarshallBot.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. Go back to base. I just fly into the sky when I talk to you. I'm so excited about it. What inspired you to go into coaching? Like you've been into master's degree, PhD, and all that. You were a professor, and why coaching?
Leadership development first by accident. I had a very famous man named Dr. Paul Hersey, and he invented situational leadership with Ken Blanchard. And I kind of followed him around, and he was kind enough to let me sit in the back room. I literally served the coffee and poured the water and arranged the tables. And on the other hand, he let me do it for free, and I got to learn from him. And then one day he got double booked, and he said, "Can you do what I do?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "I'll pay you $1,000 for one day." At the time, I was making $15,000 for 1 year. I was brought up very poor. That was 46 years ago. $1,000 for 1 day to a 28-year-old kid from Kentucky whose experience is pumping gasoline. That's a lot of money. I said, I'll do it. The client was very angry when I showed up because that wasn't him. But I got ranked first place of all the speakers, and they were happy. So he said, "Do you want to do this again?" I said, "Sign me up. I'll do this every day." That's how I got into leadership development. And then coaching, also by accident, I worked with a guy who was the CEO of a big company. He said, "I had this kid working for me, young, smart, dedicated, hardworking, genius, stubborn, arrogant, know-it-all jerk." He said, he would be worth a fortune to me if I could change that guy's behavior. So I heard fortune. I said, "I like fortunes. Maybe I can help him." He said, "Maybe." And then I came up with an idea. I said, "I will work with him for 1 year. If he gets better, pay me. If he does not get better, all free." What did he say? Sold. There was nothing called coaching. There was no field of executive coaching. I just made it up.
So humble of you to talk about this. It's nothing.
I just made it up.
Yeah, oh my God. And then the result was he paid you.
What's that? Oh, yeah, the guy got better and I got paid.
Amazing. Okay, all those 3 years, you've been so many CEOs, so many traveling, so many everything. What is the most common mistake you find people want to change? People want to change their behavior?
I'm not working with average people. So my clients tend to be CEOs or could be CEOs of big companies. So I was interviewed in the Harvard Business Review and asked this question: what is the number one problem of all those successful people you coach? And my answer was winning too much. Now, what does that mean?
Oh,
If it's important, we want to win. Meaningful, win. Critical, win. Trivial, win. Not worth it? Win anyway. You see, winners love winning. It's very hard for winners not to win, even if it's stupid. For example, I'll give you a case study that you probably failed. Ready? You want to go to dinner at restaurant X. Your husband, wife, friend, or partner wants to go to dinner at restaurant Y. Have an argument. You go to Y. It was not your choice. The food tastes awful and the service is terrible. Option A, you could critique the food. Point out our partner was wrong. This mistake could have been avoided if you listened to me. Option B, shut up. Eat the stupid food. Try to enjoy it and have a nice night. What should I do? Almost all my clients, what I do? Critique the food. What should I do? Shut up. Even better example. You have a hard day at work. Hard day. Such a hard day. You come home. Your husband, wife, or partner is there, and the other person says, I had such a hard day today. I had such a hard day. And if we're not careful what we say, you had a hard day. You had a hard day. Do you have any idea what I had to put up with today? You think you had a hard day? We're so competitive, we have to prove we're more miserable than the people we live with. I gave this example to my class at the Dartmouth Tug School. Young guy raised his hand. He said, I did that last week. I asked him what happened. He said, my wife looked at me. She said, honey, you just think you've had a hard day. It is not over.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, it's not over.
Oh my goodness. It's like, oh, yeah, I have to agree. I was there in corporate life also. And sometimes you feel toxicity. And what's happening is like gossiping and talking behind tables.
I do a survey. What % of all interpersonal communication is spent on A, someone talking about how stupid, inept, or dumb somebody else is, or listening to that, or B, someone talking about how smart they are, listening to that? And the answer from around the world, 65% of all communication time is wasted on that.
Wow. 65.
Yeah. So the point is, you want to save time? Don't do that.
Stop gossiping. I suppose that.
Quit talking about how smart you are and how dumb everyone else is.
Yeah.
And by the way, quit listening to everyone else that does that.
Okay, let's go to the new book, Fear and Life.
Fear and Life.
Yeah, you emphasize the importance of living a fulfilling life without regrets.
Yes.
So, what steps can people take to earn their way to fulfilling life, and how they can find their track and stay on it?
Okay, first, in my book, I talk about what do you need to have a great life? Well, first, you need to be healthy. So you need to take care of your health. If you're not healthy, it's very hard. Second, you need to have good relationships with people you love, but the book is not about that. And then third, you need to have at least a middle class or lower middle class income. Beyond that, money does not make much difference in your life. People think it does, but all research on this shows not much. After in the United States, like, I don't know, 75,000 a year, that's it. After that, there's no relationship between money and happiness. That's kind of a myth. What do you need to have a great life? 3 things. 1, you need a sense of higher aspiration. Why am I doing this? Some sense of purpose. What is the point to all this stuff? So you need some higher aspiration, and your aspiration doesn't have a finish line. Then you need to focus on your ambition, and your ambitions, that's what am I achieving? And what I'm achieving does have a finish line. It's like I want to do this goal or achieve this at a certain point in time. And then finally, your day-to-day actions or the process of life itself. What am I doing right now? And do I enjoy that? And to the degree we align our sense of aspiration, our ambitions, and our day-to-day actions, we tend to have a great life. Now, if you look at the history of the world, most people get stuck in what we call the action phase. They just live day-to-day lives. Our ancestors were very poor people.
Yeah.
You're into
It's like,
there wasn't much
do you
in
think,
life years ago. There was nothing there. Yeah,
do
50.
you think everybody knows the purpose of their life?
No, of course not. Everybody has to come up with their own purpose.
Exactly. And
I can
they
tell
spent
you.
years just to figure it out. What what was my purpose? Why am I here?
Well, you say it takes years. No, it doesn't. You know what I teach people? Come up with a purpose.
Oh.
Come up with a purpose. And then, by the way, you can change it,
Yeah,
but
this is what I want to go with us.
at least you're going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Come up
It's like,
with a
think of something and doesn't work
fix
out, you can change.
Yeah, try to do it. Well, why are you doing this? You need some reason. Why am I doing this stuff? Well, pick a purpose, right? And you can change it, but at least you're going somewhere as opposed to just floundering around. So historically, our ancestors, though, were focused on the day-to-day activity. They didn't have time to focus on what was the purpose of life. They were poor people. They had to eat every day. You know, they lived in caves. They didn't have time to think about these lofty things. Well, most humans today just live day-to-day lives. They don't think about their purpose or greater ambitions. They just play video games. Yeah, they just live. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's the history of the world. Some people are focused on aspirations. They're lost in their heads. They have lofty dreams, but they don't do anything to achieve these dreams. The people listening to this call, the people I coach, and the people who read my books don't have either one of those problems. The people that are listening to me right now tend to be focused on the ambition phase, achievement. And what they do is they believe that they're overly focused on achievement sometimes at the expense of two things. They forget why they're achieving these things. And number two, they don't enjoy the process of life. So most people that I work with, their problem is not achievement. They're already incredible achievers. Their problem is they're addicted to achievement. So what I teach people is, look, never place your value as a human being based on results. Let me repeat that. Never place your value as a human being based upon results. Here's why. One, you don't control the results. You and I didn't invent COVID.
Yeah.
Anything we don't control. But number two, even more important, what happens after you achieve the results? How much long-term happiness and satisfaction do you gain from that? Yeah, a day, a week. What happens then? Next year. One of the people who endorsed my book is named Albert Bourla. Albert was the CEO of Pfizer, or is the CEO of Pfizer. I called Albert a couple of years ago and said, how's it going? He said, oh, good. And this vaccine, very good. I said, thank you, Albert. Saved a lot of lives. Very good. Employee engagement, all-time high. Stock value, all-time high. Oh, he was CEO of the year. Yay. I said, what's your problem? He said, I have a huge problem. Ask him, what is it? He said, next year. Next year. Do you think the people that bought the stock at this price care what he did last year? Do you think they care he came up with a vaccine? No, they don't care. What do they care about? Next year. And if his value as a human being is he has to achieve more than he did last year, he will never do that for the rest of his life. We don't want him to do that for the rest of his life. We don't want another pandemic, right? It's not going to happen, hopefully. Michael Phelps won 25 gold medals. What did he think about doing after winning his 25th medal? Killing himself.
Wow. Yeah.
There's no more to achieve. Never place your value as a person on results, because the Buddhist term for that is the hungry ghost. You'll always be eating and you'll never be full. And the other thing, one of my favorite parts of the book is about the marshmallow test. There's this study of marshmallows in kids. They take the kid, give the kid in Stanford one marshmallow. And the kid eats one, they get one, but they say, oh, what if you wait? Two. So allegedly they've done these studies over time, and the kids that ate one grow up being losers, and the kids that wait get more successful. So the point of the book is, well, delayed gratification is good. Delayed gratification is good. Every self-help book, delayed gratification is good. Work out more. Go on a diet. Delayed gratification is good. Here's the problem with all this research. They did not take the kid who got two marshmallows and say, wait. Wait, kid, a little bit more. 3. Wait some more. 4, 5. Keep waiting. 10, 100, 1,000. Where does the story end? An old man sitting in a room surrounded by thousands of uneaten marshmallows waiting to die.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sometimes in life, eat the marshmallow.
Okay, that brings me a name, Peter Drucker.
Peter Drucker, a great mentor of mine.
Yeah, and it's like a amazing idea of everybody tells everybody what to do, what you should do, but what you should not do, what you should stop doing, right?
Yeah, Peter Drucker taught me that. He said, we spend a lot of time. Peter Drucker was the greatest thinker in management history. So, as you mentioned, I got ranked #1 leadership thinker in the world. My intellect compared to him, 10-year-old boy. He was so, I was like a 10-year-old boy compared to him. So hard. Taught me so many things, And one of the things he said, we spend a lot of time teaching leaders what to do. We do not spend enough time teaching leaders what to stop. Half the leaders don't need to learn what to do. They need to learn what to stop. Well, that one comment led to my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. By the way, the book had a good day today. Just today, the Thinkers 50 did 10 management classics in history, and my book was one of the 10.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Earlier this year, Chief Executive Magazine did a study of CEOs in America, and they picked the 10 books in management ever written, the best 10, and mine was also one of that top 10. So that book,
wow,
very classic book, still selling after 15 years. So the key to the book is, I talk about teaching people what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of them I've heard is winning too much. I'll give you a second one. A second one is called adding too much value. What's that? I'm young, smart, enthusiastic. You're my boss. I come to you with an idea. You think it's a great idea. Rather than just saying great idea, our natural tendency is to say, oh, that's a nice idea. Why don't you add this to it? The quality of the idea may go up 5%. My commitment just went down 50%. It's not my idea, boss. Now it's your idea.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for smart, successful people not to constantly add value. One of my good coaching clients retired a few years ago. His name was J.P. Garnier. I asked JP, what'd you learn? And he was CEO of GlaxoSmithKline, huge company, right? I said, what'd you learn about life as a CEO of GlaxoSmithKline? He said, I had to learn a hard lesson as a CEO. He said, my suggestions become orders. Now, he said, if they're smart, they're orders. If they're stupid, they're orders. If I want them to be orders, they're orders. If I don't want them to be orders, they're ordered anyway. My suggestions. For 9 years, I trained the admirals of the United States Navy. What was the first thing I teach new admirals? You get this, Star? Your suggestions become orders. Admiral makes a suggestion. What do people say? Aye. That suggestion is an order. So I asked JP, what did you learn from me when I was your coach? He said, you told me one lesson, help me be a better leader and have a happier life. I said, what was it? He said, before I speak, breathe. Breathe and ask one question. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Let me give you a question. Have you ever gotten into an argument with someone you love and got all upset over minor or trivial points?
Of course, yeah.
Was it worth it? Yeah. If you have teenage kids, do you ever try to prove the teenage kid was wrong on a minor point?
Yeah. Pass.
In life, try to win the big ones. All those little things, let it go.
So you were saying you're dealing with the high CEOs and stuff, all those people just like leading the world. Say, what qualities do they have? But what improvements they're looking for?
Well,
what makes a great leader?
Yeah, the qualities you would guess: smart, dedicated, hardworking, driven to achieve, integrity. They work all the time. They're very smart people, and they're dedicated to their jobs and their companies and all that stuff. So they tend to be good at that. And their problems tend to be ego. You see, when you're at the bottom, You have to prove you're right all the time. And every time you get promoted, you got to quit doing that all the time. You got to let other people be winners. Quit making it all about you. It's hard. See, one of my good coaching clients said, for the great achiever, it's all about me. For the great leader, it's about them. It's hard to make the transition from I'm a great achiever to a great leader. Very hard for founders to do this particularly. Very hard for founders to not be right all the time, win, be involved. You got to learn to let go. It's not easy to do this, by the way. It's very difficult to do this. By the way, why is it so difficult? These people spent years of their life. They've taken test after test after test in school and in life, thousands of tests with one goal: prove they were smart. Prove they were smart. It's hard to stop. It's hard to stop because we've done it thousands of times. And by the way, every time you prove you're smart, oh, A for you, and you're good, and everybody smiles. Don't prove you're smart. No, bad, very bad. We go through life over and over trying to prove we're smart. Peter Drucker said,
the first time I realized that achievers are not happy.
Achieving is fine for achievement. It's not, a leader and achiever are not the same thing. A leader helps other people achieve.
Wow.
Achiever, I achieve. Leader helps them achieve. That's the difference. Now, I did not say achievers are not happy. Very important point. The reality is, one of the guys in our group is Safi Bakal. Safi is a scientist, right? Over COVID, my friend and I, Mark Thompson, spent 600 hours with these 60 amazing people. And their names are in my book. These are people like, President of the Rockefeller Foundation, the head of the World Bank, the head of the St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and Pau Gasol, the basketball star, and Curtis Martin, the football star, and the Broadway star, on and on and on. Very distinguished people, right? And their names are in the book, so it's not a secret who they are. And every week they talked about life. So this guy, Safi, is a famous scientist and an author. He wrote a book called Loonshots. So you know what he said? He said, I finally learned something in our group. He said, I used to believe that happiness was a dependent variable based on achievement. And if I achieved more, I would be happy. He said, I finally realized happiness and achievement are independent variables. You can achieve a lot and be happy. You can achieve nothing and be happy. You can achieve a lot and be miserable. And you can achieve nothing and be miserable. He said, happiness and achievement are independent variables. I said, Safi, I'm glad you realized this. One, you already have a PhD in physics from Stanford. You already have started 4 businesses and made $1 zillion. And you've written a New York Times best-selling book, and you've consulted to presidents. If that is not enough achievement to make you happy, do you really believe that a little bit more is going to matter? He said, right. It's not going to matter. Now, you can never achieve enough to be happy.
Yeah. And the problem is you get addicted. I need to achieve more to get more happy.
Yeah.
You get stuck.
More money, more status. Yeah. Look, I'm writing some new stuff about this. A new thing I'm writing is called The Further We Get Ahead, the Further We Get Behind. And a guy was CEO of McKinsey on the board of Goldman Sachs named Rajat Gupta. And he got arrested for allegedly, basically doing illegal trading to make money. I'm thinking, I was trying to make money. He's already worth $50 million. He's famous. Why? Well, the guy ahead of him was worth $1 billion. And here's an interesting point. The difference in net worth between the richest person in the world and number 10 is more money than the difference between 0 and number 10.
Wow.
So what happens is the more you get ahead on that curve, that guy ahead of you is further and further ahead.
Oh my goodness. But you live this life with empty hand, right? So you forget to enjoy life.
Of course. Yeah, we get lost. We get lost. The great Western disease is, I will be happy when. when I get the money, the status, the BMW, the content,
Exactly.
achievement, win, win, win. When I get this, everything is going to be great. Win. There's only one book that has the same ending, and they lived happily ever after. That's a
Fairy tale.
that's not wrong. There's no
This is not true.
there's no you're going to get to that after this win, I'm going to live for happy forever. It doesn't work that way. Every day of life is part over. The people look. If achievement would make you happy, the 60 people I spent 2 years with would all be dancing off the ceiling every day. Some are very happy and some of them are miserable.
I have 10 minutes left because I cannot book you further. But I have an interesting question. I have it in mind. Like, let's assume that I am your patient and I am coming from this corporate.
No,
You're a doctor.
I don't use the word patient.
Okay.
I work with very successful people. I don't have patience, right?
Yeah.
I work with great people to help them become more great. I don't work with six people.
Okay. I have these symptoms, okay, in my stuff. Okay, I'm great. But I have these problems and complaints in my team. Like, I have so many who's looking for show off. Okay, just like, how is that good or not good? I have gossip groups all around the team. These three.
Let's do one at a time. I'm out. Don't give me 20 problems.
Okay.
One. My friend Alan Mulally, probably the greatest corporate CEO in the world, CEO of the year in the United States, and he went to Ford. The stock was $1.01. He left $18.40. He had a 97% approval rating from every employee in the union company. He was CEO of the year in the United States and ranked the third best leader in the world behind the Pope and Angela Merkel. Amazing man. Alan didn't have this problem. You know what he said? He came to Ford and he said, here's the way we're going to act. One is we're not going to make any bad comments about other people. By the way, none. And he said, starting now, whatever you did in the past, you did, is over. Starting now, there are no negative comments. You're not going to make any negative comments about any other people. You don't put people down. You don't tell jokes about people, period. One guy stand up and he said, well, look, if I want to make jokes about people, I will, you can't tell me that. You know what he said? Thank you for sharing. And I'm sure you're going to have a great career in another company. Bye. Another guy, I don't want to do this. Out. That was it. He had 16 direct reports. He fired 2. 14 stayed. They turned the company around. They were the same people. Why he didn't put up with it? You're the leader. You know where the problem is? Look in the mirror. You're the problem. You haven't.
You don't listen to it.
Yeah, you don't stand up to it. You say, no, this stops. We don't do that. If you want to do it, work someplace else.
What about the second symptom?
What's it?
Show off. Show off.
Same thing. You don't do that. So if they have a behavioral problem, they get a coach. They get 6 months to turn around. Turn around, you stay. Don't turn around, you're gone. Pretty simple.
Yeah. It needs like courage.
That's the problem.
You say
the problem is not them. The problem is you.
Yeah.
You haven't dealt with it. You don't want people to do it. Step up. You're the boss. Don't allow it. You allow it, they'll do it.
And what about claiming credits? Like for any achievement or any success? I find like, whoa, so many jumps over.
Very important. The higher up you go, you need to give them credit. Quit doing that. When you're an engineer, first line manager, well, it's okay. Because your job is to achieve. But then you get promoted. You got to stop doing that all the time. You get to win. I mean, you're the boss. You get to win anyway. You don't need to take credit for everything. Give them the credit.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. One last thing.
Well, let me finish with my best advice. So you asked me one question, and then let me give you my final advice. What's the question first?
Which one?
Well, you said you had one last question. So what is it?
Yeah. It was like I was assuming that this circumstance is existing in one company. And I was like talking about gossiping, show off, claiming credits. So claiming credits within my team is like, yeah, I did this. No, I did this. And I was part of this. And I was that. Okay.
That's a whole different question. Dealing with your peers is quite different than dealing if you're the boss. Now, I'm going to teach you what I learned about how to influence people when you don't have line authority. If you don't have line authority, then basically the great lesson from Peter Drucker is this. In life, every decision is made by the person who has the power to make the decision. Make peace with that. Not the best person, a smart person, or right person. Whoever has power to make the decision is going to make the decision. If I need to influence you to make a positive difference, and he said, we're here on earth to make a positive difference, not to be right. If I need to influence you to make a positive difference, then I have to treat you like a customer and I'm a salesperson. You don't have to buy, you have to sell. Well, if you don't have power over your peers and you can't convince them to change, you know what you're going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. It's your boss's problem. Your boss puts up with the crap, it's going to happen. Your boss doesn't put up with the crap, it won't happen, right? The boss doesn't want to change, it's not going to change. If they don't want to change, you know what you're going to do about it as a beer? Zero. Make peace.
Yeah, just
let it go.
throw the burden.
Change what you can change in life. If you can't change it, let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, instead, it will be more stressful if you see it's wrong, but you cannot change.
Now, by the way, were you talking about your own personal peers?
No, just like in general.
All right. Well, what I would teach you if you're talking about your own peers is forgive other people for being who they are, forgive other people, and forgive yourself for thinking they were going to be somebody else. People aren't somebody else; they're who they are.
Very wise. Smart thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes left.
Advice. Wait. Final advice in 2 minutes. Ready? Here's the best advice for everyone. Breathe. Imagine you're 95 years old and you're just getting ready to die. Right before you take the last breath, you're given a beautiful gift. The ability to go back in time and talk to the person who's listening to me right now. Help that person be a better leader and have a better life. What advice would that old person have for you? Think about that. Now, whatever you're thinking now, do that. In terms of performance appraisal, that's the only one that matters. The old person says you did the right thing, you did. The old person says you made a mistake, you did. You don't have to impress anybody else. Some friends of mine interviewed old folks who are dying, got to ask this question. What advice would you have? 3 things. Number 1, be happy now. Not next week, not next month. Be happy now. Don't get lost in I'll be happy when. When is that old guy waiting to die? Enjoy life now. Number 2, friends and family. Don't get so busy climbing that ladder that you forget the people who love you. When you're 95 years old, you look around your deathbed, none of your coworkers are waving goodbye. Those people who love you, those ones that care. And finally, if you have a dream, go for it. Because you don't go for it when you're 30, you probably won't when you're 80. And business advice isn't much sooner. Number 1, life is short. Have fun. Number 2, do whatever you can do to help people. Mean yourself people has nothing to do with money or status or getting ahead. The 95-year-old, you'll be proud because you did. Disappointed if you don't. And finally, go for it. Do what you think is may not win, at least you tried. Old people, we don't regret the risk we take and fail. We regret the risk we failed to take. And finally, thank you for asking me to work with you. My mission is real simple, just to help people have just a little better life. So I hope somebody listening to our little thing today, maybe they have just a little better life based on what we said. If that happens, very good.
Thank you very much. Time is over. And very, very, very much appreciated. Very insightful. And what to say? A lot of big, huge thank you.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day. Thanks a lot.